As he slipped and tumbled to the ground, the penknife which he had worked so hard to procure bounced out of his pocket and fell into the grass. Chapter 34 Nightmare Canines. As Fate walked out of the darkness and into the brightness of the sunshine, he was confronted by the entity whom he had hoped to avoid for the duration of Evan and Woody's journey. The spectre glared at Fate with eyes that were said to be all-seeing. Fate had every intention of offering up an explanation for his actions, but when he caught a glimpse of the expression on the all-powerful one's face, he lowered his head. He had neither the courage nor the desire to look into the eyes of the all-powerful one, who had caught up with his good intentions and bad judgment. Fate's spirit sank even lower when he saw the pack of canine servants at their master's feet. Their vicious nature surfaced when Fate unwittingly looked one of the beasts in the eyes. It drew back its mouth and snarled. Saliva dripped from the canine fangs which the threatening creature was now offering up to Fate. The other three repercussions were beginning to show signs of agitation, and Fate felt fearful for his very being. A hand appeared from under the shroud which their master was wearing. It clicked once, and the repercussions were still. Fate breathed a sigh of relief. The relief would only last a short moment, for the hand that had silenced the beast now pointed towards a huge tree, and the small figure sat beneath it. The command was given: destroy, retrieve. Fate wanted to plead for mercy for the boy, as the repercussions powered down the banking toward their prey, but he knew there was no point. The word of the one in the shroud, the one they called his Omnipotence, was incontestable. Woody had no idea of the nightmare that was about to descend down upon his world of sunshine and innocence. Wrapped up in his studies, he was pleased with the progress which he felt he was making with his future gold document. He was looking forward to the return of his good friend Fate, who would help him understand the blue folder. As they reached the stepping stones, the repercussions hesitated. They began pacing around in circles, wondering how best to negotiate the river. Having realized that the only way over the water was across the 5 stones, the largest of the repercussions, comeuppance, led the way. As soon as its second paw touched the middle stone, it was tipped off balance and plunged into the water. Falling into the part of the river that runs fast, it was swept away past old Lignius and the oblivious boy. The 3 remaining repercussions learned from the mistake of the pack leader and quickly crossed the stones, making sure to avoid contact with the middle one. They focused their purpose on their target and raced towards the helpless boy. Woody was quietly reading while subconsciously wondering where his friend and mentor was, and then, without warning, he was under attack. The repercussions were upon him, snapping at his feet and legs. He tried to stand up, and then, using the canine teachings of his sheepdog training grandfather, he commanded the beast to stop. One of the beasts lunged at his leg and sank its fangs into his jeans. Strong and fierce, he dragged him back to the ground. Woody screamed out in pain, which only served to agitate one of the other beasts that leapt onto his chest. The helpless boy cried out, "Fate! Help me, please, Fate!" Fate could do nothing. He was helpless. He turned away, sickened and ashamed. 2 of the repercussions had the plan of action between their jaws and ripped it in half. Savagely they tore at the pieces until the document was destroyed. The beast upon Woody's chest snarled in his face, saliva dripping from its fangs. He moved his contorted face towards the boy. Woody covered his face with the hand that still contained the future document. He screwed up his eyes and begged the beast to stop, please, stop. They ignored the boy's pleadings and continued to obey their master. Pain soared through Woody's hand as sharp teeth bit through the folder and sank into his flesh. He screamed out instinctively and lashed at the repercussion, catching it on its snout. It yelped and then retreated a short distance, momentarily surprised by the blow which it had received. Suddenly the beast attacked again, only now it was the future document which was the centre of their savagery. One of the beasts tore the document from Woody's hand, and following their master's orders, all three hounds began ripping at the pages. Bleeding and scared out of his mind, he somehow had enough forethought to see that the chance for escape was open to him. While the three hounds tore at the final pages, destroying the second folder, he silently got to his feet, and like a timid animal surviving on instinct, he raced away, leaving the beast behind him. After a few seconds of running as fast as he could, Woody could hear the sound of a dozen determined paws thundering behind him. He tried to run faster, occasionally glancing back at the pack of pursuers which were gaining on him with ever-increasing intensity, determined to run him down from behind. It was the looking back that was his undoing and the reason for his fall. If he had been looking in the direction that he was running, he may have avoided standing on a patch of slippery moss. As he slipped and tumbled to the ground, the penknife which he had worked so hard to procure bounced out of his pocket and fell into the grass. Quickly he scrambled onto one knee, hoping that the savage creatures would not get to him before he had a chance to regain his footing and escape. Ominously, he realized that the hunt was over, for the beasts had caught their prey. He was now facing the repercussions of his unsanctioned journey. All three hounds stood before him, their ears pricked up, their tongues out, their cruel breath panting. He wondered why the beasts had ceased their attack. They never snarled, their mouths twitched, their ears pointed forward, but they never made a sound. They stood in silence as though an unseen force had told them to hush. Frightened and desperately confused, the boy thought of an expression which he had heard his mother use. He wondered if this was the calm before the storm. He wished he was safe in the protection of heaven and fate, while struggling to understand why they had forsaken him. As he shakily made his way into a standing position, he tried to be calm and hide his fear from the dogs, hoping that by changing his demeanour, he would change their disposition. He thought about the teachings of his Aunt Sheila, who owned the chase kennels, where he spent every other weekend working with the hunt dogs. He tried to employ the master and canine etiquette techniques, but he was trembling, his chin was quivering, and his hand was bleeding from the punctures in his skin. The only thing keeping him from bursting into tears was the adrenaline coursing through his body and the fear racing around his mind. Lifting his foot as little as he dared, he took a small step backwards. "Stay," he calmly ordered, and the beast was still. He took another step, and then another, this time a slightly longer one, while holding out his hand to signify that the pack should remain where they were. Then it began. The most hideous snarling, which told young Evan that his nightmare was far from over. Behind him loomed the alpha beast, the pack leader, dripping with anger, determined that he would not let his master down, nor be thought of as a wet fool. It let forth a deep-throated howl, and the other three beasts accompanied the pack leader as they howled in unison. Woody was filled with dread and an unprecedented fear, a fear that would never leave him, a fear that would haunt him in dreams and terrible nightmares throughout his life. He had to face the beast behind him, as he was unable to pass the ones that were in front of him. He reluctantly turned his head. As he faced the pack leader, he felt alone and betrayed. He wondered what he had done to deserve such terrible punishment. He could not comprehend why his friend and protector Fate had abandoned him. He could not understand why all of his canine teachings from his grandfather and Aunt Sheila had deserted him. He wondered why his own time separation, his elder self, had not come to his aid. Suddenly, the smallest of the canines lunged at the boy's hip, and with a quick nip of their teeth, it bit through the string which secured the black pouch to his belt. The pack leader snarled and bared its teeth. Retrieving the pouch was the duty of the alpha dog. The large repercussions had no qualms about showing the young upstart who was in charge. As soon as the pack leader made a move towards the pouch pincher, order was instantly resumed. The pouch was dropped, and the would-be mutineer rolled onto her back to show surrender to the alpha beast. With the opportunity successfully retrieved and safely in its jaws, the alpha repercussion and his followers headed back to their master. Woody could hardly believe that the beast had ceased their attack. At first he dared not move, fearful they may return to finish him off. He waited until he saw that all four of the hounds were across the river before rising into a crouching position. He then watched them racing up the distance towards two distant figures. As soon as he felt it was safe, he stood up, turned, and started to run. He could feel the pain in his legs where he had been savaged, but the combination of adrenaline and fear were preventing it from overwhelming him. He felt abandoned and punished for breaking a rule which no one had explained to him. He was struggling to see where he was running because the tears were flooding his eyes and he had blurred vision. He ran faster and faster away from the terrible beast and towards the inevitable consequences of his preordained destination, the derelict old mill. Fate watched in despair as the boy ran away into the distance. He looked at the figure standing before him. Not a single emotion crossed the face of the all-powerful one. By now the repercussions had returned, and the leader, Comeuppance, dropped the pouch at his master's feet. He picked it up and placed it inside his shroud. "Home," he commanded, and the canine repercussions left. What's going to happen now? Wondered Fate, dreading the answer, fearing he knew the reply. It's time to face the charges filed against you. You must follow me away from the doorway to Mortalitania, through the darkness and into the light of personificadia. The all-powerful one began walking. Fate followed in order to face the consequences of his unsanctioned journey. Everything went dark.